Rachel Notley spent $90,000 taxpayer dollars to basically tell Albertans nothing. She bought a spot on local TV during the dinner hour. That's not especially cheap, so she probably should have had something really, really important to say. Sadly, Notley Trudeau'd us, saying a lot of nothing and doing her best to ooze maternal feel-goodery through your TV screen. She's really doing her very best to nail her Mother Alberta routine, and failing. Now, these kind of televised political infomercials are nothing new in Alberta. The progressive Conservatives used to waste our tax dollars on them about once a year, actually even more sometimes during the Peter Lougheed days. And the opposition was always critical of this waste of money. Now, I know you guys were glued to your TV screen last night in Alberta, but let's watch like 30 seconds of Rachel Notley together. Here.
At the same time, we've acted to protect vital public services like healthcare and education. Now, we can afford to make this choice because Alberta has a significantly lower debt to GDP ratio than Canada and other provinces. In other words, we have the fiscal capacity to protect the health and education services your family counts on. But we must stick to a plan that carefully brings the budget back into balance as the economy recovers.
So as you sit around your kitchen table wondering how you're going to make ends meet and heat your home and feed your kids, aren't you relieved to know that Rachel Notley is using your money you so desperately need, to shelter the public sector from the economic reality in Alberta? She's breaking your back to make sure her friends in the public sector don't feel the sting of bad fiscal management. Thanks, Rachel. Now, we know the PCs made sure that Alberta had the most expensive public sector in the country, but don't worry, Rachel Notley's going to keep it that way. Now, let's see what the opposition has to say about Rachel Notley's televised address. Here's a good quote. She put herself in a box that can only be solved by large deficits and significant service cuts, and I think she's going to pay a very big price for this. Oh, you know who said that? NDP leader Brian Mason about Alison Redford way back in 2013 after her televised address to the province. Let me see if I can find another quote. I do know that we're going to be facing significant reductions in service levels across the board, and that is in direct contradiction to a clear promise she made during the election. Oh, that's Brian Mason again. Let's try this again. Here's another. Today's address is to prepare Albertans, blaming others, but in fact the responsibility is clearly on the government for misestimating revenue from oil. That's Brian Mason again. Oh, darn it. Oh, I found another comment from someone who thought that raising taxes on struggling families was a very bad idea. Listen here.
Good evening. Tonight we heard from Mr. Prentice about his plans for Alberta. Those plans show us what kind of government Mr. Prentice leads, a government with the wrong priorities for Alberta. At a time when Albertans are worried about their jobs, Jim Prentice wants them to pay an extra tax out of their own pockets.
Oh, you guys, that's Rachel Notley talking about a healthcare premium. Here I thought that was a reasonable person talking about putting a carbon tax on struggling families. Now, we know from a poll taken just after last spring's election that people voted for change. 93% of voters said the reason for voting NDP was change. Only 7% of NDP voters actually voted for NDP policies. So NDP voters, how does all this change feel? Because it feels to me like a heck of a lot more of the same, like exactly the same, with less friendliness to the industries that paid our bills for so long, and more debt and more unemployment. Weird. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.